Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com with this week's episode of the Tuesday Brews Day. Yep, it's Wednesday. I was way too busy to actually do Tuesday Brews Day, but I thought I wouldn't cheat you this week and actually start to get back in the rhythm of doing these deck techs weekly of a rogue deck. So these aren't going to be tier decks. A lot of them are going to be wonky. A lot of them are going to be bad. This is definitely one of those decks that falls under that category. Other than I have had some very climatic victories with this deck. So this is going off of our Rampage of the Clans list, but this one is specifically being played in the pre-rotation format on MTG Arena. And I've messed around a few of the cards in this deck. Like, the thing is, this is best of one. I would probably shift some of these cards over the sideboard and put in some other cards that probably do better in the main. I've been testing around like Leyline of Anticipation and Smothering Tithe. However, this is the list that has done the best for me. So we're just going to showcase this list and play a few games with it. So again, this is geared towards the pre-rotation format. That means that nothing is legal from Core 2019 to Dominaria, and so the only sets that are legal are going to be Guilds of Ravnica to Core 2020, and any cards they've released on MTG Arena up to this point from Throne of Eldraine. So the whole idea of this deck is for this card called Rampage of the Clans. It says destroy all artifacts and enchantments, and for each permanent destroyed this way, its controller creates a 3/3 green Centaur creature token. So the idea of this deck is instant speed. Your opponents are, if they know what you're doing, it's so easy to play around this deck, but arena players aren't the smartest, and so a lot of times you can win some games just when they tap out, and then you Rampage the Clans, and then hit them back on for lethal on the backswing. It's happened so many times against the mono red deck. We're unable to do this. And they're right now in the meta, there's a lot of mono red, there's a lot of blue red, a lot of Grixis, Esper Control, a few Gruul decks here and there, a lot of blue-white flyers, and a lot of blue-green flash. So that's kind of the meta you have going for you. Rampage Clans has won a lot of games versus that, especially that blue-white flash deck or blue-white flyers deck, just because they try to lethal you, and then on the backswing you lethal them. So let's just get down the deck tech here. So the cards that we're going to be using for the Rampage of Clans is Leyline of Sanctity. I've included this as 4 of in the main because it's really fun when you go up against mono red, and then their skewers are worthless. And you also have decks like Thought Erasure is huge in the meta. So Leyline of Sanctity out, then your opponent can't Thought Erasure you, is typically a pretty good play. Now, I don't know if Leyline of Anticipation wants to be in this slot or if Smothering Tide wants to be in this slot. However, for this particular deck tech, we're going to showcase it as is. This is not tuned whatsoever. This is just a thought experiment of how powerful Rampage of the Clans can be. That is typically my strategy when building decks, is not necessarily at first to try to build the most powerful deck or the best curve deck. You really want to pick a card. If you're picking a theme, if you're trying to build a brew around a particular card, you want to try to make that card as best as possible. And then if you can't make that card shine with the best cards surrounding it, then maybe it's time to relook at the position of where that card plays in your deck, or just scrap the deck altogether. Now, a lot of these particular decks where I was just doing thought experiments actually end up being very good decks. That's how the now I can't even think of the stupid card. My favorite card of all times, the one that puts out the servo tokens, started. It was just like kind of a jank deck, trying to see if it could work. And we had some bad iterations of this deck, and then I really ramped it up and figured out the card did deserve its slot. And we had some very, very good finishes. I think that if I would have been playing competitively during that time period rather than just on MTGO and MTG Arena, that I could have actually had some pretty good finishes at GPs and PTQs and things like that. But I haven't been a competitive player now for years. I think when I actually started the store, that was the beginning of the end of my competitive days, because the focus had to be now onto the store, maintaining the daily routine of the store and keeping the channel going. So maybe one of these days we'll go back to competitive Magic, and brews can do it. We've proved it in the past, and not saying this Rampage of the Clans can do it. However, I just still love to brew decks, and yeah, to see how much success we can have with one particular card. So for this example, or for this deck, it's Rampage of Clans. We're trying to make shine. So the cards we're going to try to make this shine is any sort of cantrip, base enchantment, or artifact. Dovin's Acuity draws a card, gains you 2 life. Guild Globe just draws a card. We have the Angelic Gift that just draws a card, and we have the Urban Utopia that just draws a card. The rest of these cards are going to try to slow down the game and try to make it so we can get there. So I'm running 4 of Deputy of Detentions, 4 of Knight of Autumns, which allow you to either gain life or destroy an artifact or enchantment. Keep in mind your opponent gets the 3/3s out of this as well. Or it can just be a 4/3 beater, and there's no better stall card than Teferi Time Raveler. Also makes your opponents not be able to cast instant speeds, which means that you can get a Rampage of the Clans out without it being countered. The other card in the deck is going to be the Starfield Mystic, which just makes your enchantment spells cost 1 less. But also, when you kill all of your enchantments and you have a Starfield Mystic on board, it gets a +1/+1 counter. There are many times that I'll go lethal with the Rampage of the Clans and then buffing up a huge Starfield Mystic, maybe slap an Angelic Gift on the next turn, or getting rid of a blocker with the Teferi, and then getting the damage in with the Starfield Mystic. Again, there are plenty of cards that could go in this deck. Smothering Tithe I've had, Leyline of Anticipation. We've had the enchantments that actually ramp for mana in here, that gain life, Gift of Paradise that's been in this deck. But this seems to be the list that does the best. Haven't done a sideboard for it because, again, this is just a best of one. So that's just the deck here. Let's go over to playing some of these standard 2020s and see if we can get some good games in. So here we go with the Rampage pre-rotation. And this typically does pretty good against some of the other mid-range decks. This deck is absolutely crucified when you go up against Blue-Green Flash. I would say would be the worst matchup, followed by the Gates decks are tough. Any hyper-aggressive deck can be tough if they go bigger than you. But Mono Red seems to be the deck this does the best against. And so if we get some Mono Red matchups. I also apologize. I'm at home running the crappy computer, so if you see some, if it's not the best quality video, I do apologize. So this ends up being a pretty bad hand, but we're going to go ahead and keep it. We have 2 Leyline of Sanctities here. We have an explosive draw with being able to find a Rampage, the Clans, and that's just 2 free 3/3s. We have another 3/3. That could just be a beater, so we'll submit both of these onto the battlefield, go a Temple Garden to play tapped, and go from there. Probably should have gone Hallowed Fountain, then we could get into the forest, but it's fine. Nice. I hope you are okay, so red Leyline Sanctity does pretty well against the red decks. We'll go Urban Utopia, just a little bit better than a Guild Globe. And haven't really checked out a lot of the auras and enchantments to see how well this deck's going to be post-rotation. Man, I've been so out of it. Didn't even do spoiler videos this time around. Still need to do my top 10 cards from the set. Be looking for the top 10 cards I'm going to be missing later on today. I'm going to be trying to ramp up the amount of videos that I put out per day. So that does look like it's going to be a blue-red deck. We can just go the Hallowed Fountain to play tapped, and then a Guild Globe to try to draw us another card. You could have made the argument for Teferi there and plus Teferi, but I don't know. I don't know if it's relevant. Saheeli, yeah, still not relevant. We'll probably detention it. No. I think we're good. I think just Teferi here and bouncing back Guild Globe is okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So, Teferi. And not too shabby here. We just need to dig for that Rampage. Remember, we are pretty safe. Well, Narset's annoying. We'll end up deputing Narset. Narset's another card I've had in here from time to time. And a shock on the Teferi. But Teferi got 2 cards. So Teferi did what Teferi does. And we actually have another Teferi. So we'll just deputy here. Get rid of Narset. And that allows us to Hallowed Fountain. And doesn't matter which one I put out here. Let's just go ahead. We have a target for the Angelic Gift right now. So that's probably pretty good. And we actually find another land to also get us going. So Deputy Detention dies to get Narset back, and that could be a setback. There's my pun that can get a downvote. Feel free to dislike the video for that. And I think we're still in pretty decent shape. There's a Crackling Drake, so just the blue-red. This is like the flavor of the week. It's funny. It's crazy how this meta has shifted. Let's see here. Like, we could throw back the Crackling Drake. It's probably the better play. We need to buy time. And another Deputy is good. We can get rid of the Saheeli. But I think what we're going to do is just Breeding Pool. And we'll just Urban Utopia on one of our lands here. Draw another card. Okay. No attacks. And that set back our opponent. They have plenty of cards in hand. Like Crackling Drake drawing card isn't relevant at this point. They're suffering for land drops. We haven't found our particular card yet, which is frustrating. But see if our opponent missed another land drop. So opponent could easily go Saheeli, copying Crackling Drake, attack in, but that's pretty bad. There's also a shock, so if my opponent does attack in with these two, just going to shock on... Okay, just shock on the... Alright. Fair enough. There's the Rampage of Clans, so that's awesome. So let's go ahead and we just need to get there with it, and that should be... I don't know if we're enough for lethal quite yet, though. So let's just go Dovin's Acuity, and probably need to Deputy of Detention those Thopters, as those are going to be a pain for us to deal with. So again, hopefully our opponent taps out here. We can then drop the Guild Globe and a Rampage of the Clans, and that might be enough to get us there. Be unfortunate if opponent does cast another spell with Saheeli. Yeah, looking kind of dire for us. Again, this is just a jank deck. It's fun when it works, but you definitely have to outsmart and outplay your opponent, which does make you a better player. So keep that in mind with Rogue Brews. I do think a lot of my success is because of... Yeah, that sucks. All right, that's going to hurt. Because now we don't get to draw a card off of the Guild Globes. That Lava Coil was the perfect card to hit. Also gives my opponent Saheeli. So there's Thought Collapse. I might just need to main phase it. Do I just main phase the Rampage before my opponent gets more value? I think I have to. Well, unfortunately, there's another worthless card. This actually does not even give us a card draw, and I think I'm just going to do it right now. But I want to take Dovin's Acuity back to my hand. Decline. I'm going to get 6 of them. Unfortunately, we're kind of out of everything. And that doesn't even do much. So we have some power on board, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get through this kind of wall my opponent has established with the Crackling Drakes. Opponent can also go for lethal with Saheeli, making one of these into a... Oh, no, it's an artifact. So they haven't found an artifact yet because it's turned into a Centaur. So again, this is one of the problems with the deck, is it kind of can flame out. We needed that card draw. Narset was a pain. We don't have pressure for cards like Narset. This is a really solid deck. I've seen some other iterations of blue-red that go for Expansion to Explosion and Wilderness Reclamation, and those seem to be pretty good decks as well. But this is just the more spell-based deck with Crackling Drake, Saheeli, Narset to outgrind some of those control-based decks, and pretty good versus the mono-reds too, because you have the Shock Lava Coils to keep them slowed down. So Discovery gets that 1-1, unfortunately. Our opponent's going to start, getting those. I have also had pump spells in this deck before, and I cut them because they're too awkward. Like, you can actually put in the card that gives a certain creature type, not Vanquisher's Banner, but there's an icon that can give certain creature types a plus, or just use a card that gives a plus, but that was kind of awkward in the deck. So I just don't think we're going to be able to get through here. So my opponent's just thinking they're going to be able to lethal me in 2 turns. So block with everything, leave back a... Yeah, we need that Starfield Mystic out. So we're going to go ahead and attack everything in. Keep back the Deputy. And my opponent has like 1 turn to lethal me. Thought Collapse, I'm not even going to run the Starfield Mystic out. We can't even give my opponent any. Okay, really? So my opponent's going to block here. Puts down to a 12. We only lose 1. Yeah, Thought Collapse is just going to counter it, so we're just going to pass. and call that good. Could have another spell, but it's better than getting just, So Flame Sweep, so Flame Sweep actually kills 2 more guys, but we're still not lethal. We don't have lethal against my opponent either. Well, that sucked. Think we lost this one. Our set's just 2. We're on a 2-turn clock, basically, with the crackling. My opponent has the Thought Collapses, counters anything we put out, and puts out a 1/1. So, yeah, that's going to be game. So Crackling Drake's still a good card. Narset, still a broken card that should have never been printed. And Saheeli's pretty good Young Pyromancer in the format. Yeah, this card is just backbreaking now. Like, it was good in the format before, but this format right now does seem to be like a card advantage tempo-based deck, and it's making cards like Risen Reef really good because they play around Narset. Like, this card is just absolute just cancer to the format right now. I can't believe that Wizards continues to not test cards to see how they work in particular metas. But Narset is just backbreaking. Like many decks, it's who gets the Narset out. And just the draw, just to make sure the other tempo decks can't draw. That's exactly 9 damage. Yep, we die. So opponent found all 3 shocks, or 3 shocks. It's pretty good. All right, let's go on to another one. Again, you don't expect this deck to do well. It's just a thought experiment. And so there's a lot of jank to it. Definitely, I even thought about cards like Absorb and Time Wipe, just to slow things down. You can definitely think about running those particular cards, but what makes this meta very tricky is the extremes. So you have on one extreme, you have decks like Gruul and Mono Red that are just slam creature, slam creature, slam creature, slam creature. I'd even play Rakdos. Rakdos is a very good deck. Orzhov is a pretty good deck too. In this format where they just slam creature after slam creature after slam creature. And then you have decks on the opposite end, like the Wilderness Reclamation Expansion Explosion deck, or some of like the various Gate strategy. They're basically creature-less decks. And so it makes it very difficult for this best of one. Again, I'm sure this deck can be tuned more for sideboard. One of the things that you could tune in the sideboard would be the cards like Narset and Time Wipe. And so I'm sure this deck could have more oomph as a best of 3 deck. And it could get maybe even shut down worse. So Duress is tough here. Duress is going to get rid of Teferi. Might get rid of Rampage of the Clans. Yeah, I thought Teferi was coming out here. So let's go. We got another Teferi. That was pretty good. Yeah, let's just go ahead and...
Sorry I'm late.
Get rid of Gutter Bones.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
All right. So this is the mono black discard deck. So they run early cards like the Knight and the Gutter Bones, and then just try to... Yep, the Yarok. So Yarok, we can just get rid of the Breeding Pool. And see if my opponent has like another Duress. There's Gutter Bones. It's coming back out. All right, so Knight of Autumn can do 2 things here. I think we're just going to put it out as a 4/3 blocker. Or I could just go Angelic Gift and Guild Globe. So, I mean, let's just go Angelic Gift first off. And I don't even know where I want to... We'll put it on my Starfield. It's fine. And, okay, so we have to go Guild Globe here. Hopefully we draw a land. Yikes. All right, so that kind of sucks. Teferi just has to die here. I think we want to get in for the damage. So, I guess getting rid of the Breeding Pool is the bad thing here. We can definitely get rid of another Starfield Mystic. But we have Rampage the Clans, which is going to do very good for us. Teferi dies. It's okay. Teferi kind of did the job. We have another backup one. And we're going to get rid of the... Ooh, we could get rid of a Teferi here. Nah, we're going to get rid of Starfield Mystic. Or do we need Knight of Autumn here? This is a tough choice. The Knight of Autumn gives us a blocker. I'm going to get rid of Knight. I think Knight's the better card to get rid of here. So I'm going to go Teferi again. Let's just keep doing it. Again, this is just still better just to get in for some damage. And unfortunately, this Rampage is just not doing much. We're not finding all the cantrip.
Only time will tell.
So we are racing, though, which is good because we can go lethal at any point. That's just a 1-1, huh? Well, that's pretty terrible for what we're doing. Maybe let's go another... We can go Starfield Mystic, shock ourselves, and Knight of Autumn is a 4-3. And this is a Death Touch, flying Death Toucher. Yeah, we don't want that to happen. No attacks. Kind of weird to play it right now. We're just wrecked, though, if my opponent's got another Yorick. This is going to be another Death Touch 1-1. And this one's built a little bit differently than most of the decks I've seen. There's a Guild Globe. That's pretty good. And a Leyline of Sanctity. Ooh, cancel that. It requires 2 to cast the Ley... Ooh, Leyline of Sanctity actually might just be worthwhile to put out. We lose a... Yeah, that's fine. I think we want it out. That way we don't have to take... Or do these just make each opponent... What in the world just happened there? Okay, so this needs to go for that. Arena is just messing up. Oh, you have to get 2 colors. So, no, we don't want this. All right, we'll pass it. Double Death Touchers we have to worry about. Do need to avoid my opponent getting another Duress. No blocks there. You're giving me allowing me to do some damage, huh? On the backswing. Can't block with the Order of Midnight. Yikes. Okay, so does that allow us, though, to have 4 mana? It does. And we'll pass the turn. I think this is the end of the road for us. We just didn't get enough of the cantrip cards. It's going to be 4 3/3s. It might be enough to get through. Probably not, though. These Yarick Fenlurkers are getting pretty buff. Our Starfield Mystics will be pretty decent, too. So if opponent attacks in with the Order of the Midnight, we block. So, yeah, this one's be good. I'm going to force the +1/+1s on the Vampire for the mana. So let's go to blocks. Block here. Block here. And block here. Now that forces my opponent to react first, I would say. Really? Yeah, we're going to do it. Don't know if my opponent just has a board wipe in hand. Because that will suck. Command the Dreadhorde. You just died, my friendo.
Stand by and
Can't block. Got a Teferi can bounce one of my Starfield Mystics. But how many blockers do you have? That's game. So my opponent messed up horribly bad, and we take a game. And
might be a bad idea.
we win with our cheese deck. Alrighty, we get there with the good old Rampage of the Clans. So, not too shabby. Alrighty, so there's one win. I'll play this one here out. We'll play another one here, and then we'll call it. call it a day. If you actually want to see more of this video, of course, you can suggest it in the comment section. We'll get back to doing the streams and stuff. I keep saying that, I know. I've been busy with just real life stuff. And then once that's in order, we can be back to brewing. A little bit too, I think the Rogue Deck Builder is going to be focused on more brews. I am going to be creating that Gone Rogue channel just for the fluff just surrounding like the game industry and the store. So be looking for like daily brews on this in the future. All right, so Temple Garden into play tapped. We'll go the Breeding Pool and then probably Starfield Mystic. So here's another one of the same deck here. We'll pay 2 life. We'll go Mystic. And then these can be cast for cheaper. Of course, you want to go with the Urban Utopias because the Angelic Gift is a liability. So see if a Yarick comes out here. Disfigure. Ouch, that sucks. And a Knight. So this is not looking good for us. We need to cantrip some cards here. Urban Utopia is pretty crappy. This is always, it sucks if you get stuck on the dreaded 2-land hand by Arena. All right, we get there. So this allows us to Deputy Detention the Knight. Because my opponent needs to do 4 damage. No, what is it? 3 damage? 4 damage. I don't know why. There's a Spawn of Mayhem, so I need to get rid of the Spawn of Mayhem. So that kind of sucks that we don't hit a land drop. We don't advance our... So decides just attacking the Knight and go a Lazotep Reaver. Okay, that's fine. And another Lazotep Reaver. That's also fine. Because this allows us now to... Do I even need to worry about getting rid of the Knight? Am I still in okay shape? I'd have to worry about like another Disfigure. But I think we want to get this online. So we're going to Urban Utopia. And I'm going to Angelic Gift on just a Lazotep because I don't want this Deputy to be a liability. There's a Teferi, so we're in decent shape. Again, we have to worry about the Disfigure, so I'm not blocking anything. Ugh, I hate that crap. Disfigure just gives him back to something I'm not willing to. Ay. It's a Disfigure, right? So what happens next turn if I have 1, 2... That is so ridiculous. I can't let that spawn come back. So down to a 2. Knight of Autumn's pretty crappy here. Yeah, this kind of sucks, unfortunately. Teferi doesn't get us where we need to be. Rampage only gives us 3 cards, but that's probably enough. That is pretty bad. Yeah, unfortunately. Is that even enough blockers? Yeah, it is. Okay. So you go here, 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 and here. And my opponent does decide to pump up. Loses their army. I go to 1. We have another Deputy Detention. See if I was right with that Disfigure. Priest. Priest is something I absolutely have to get rid of. So we will do that. I think it's just better with Teferi. Yeah, it's just better with Teferi to bounce back the Priest and make another run for it. That's fine.
Right on schedule. Here we go.
And Angelic Gift, or let's just go Guild Globe. And no attacks, pass a turn. So we're in decent shape here. Opponent shows us they're just throwing out a... How big does that get? +3/+3? So we can just block with... We can block with both. So it gets +3/+3 and just goes to a 6. No, it goes twice. Yeah, that was dumb. Forgot you could pump this twice. Why was I thinking it was only once? You can pump it per turn. We'll just deputy detention it. And plus. And then we have Starfield Mystic. And then no attacks. The problem is we don't have a solution now for the Priest. Rotting Regisar, that's pretty tough, and the Priest. But if the Priest wants to do the Priest thing... Okay, here we go. Misplayed this pretty terribly. Let's go Angelic Gift on the Starfield Mystic. Because Night of Autumn's where we're going to want to... Draw some more cards. Keep drawing cards. Here we just need to find the other rampaging. Jeez. No attacks. So, my opponent has a creature. We're screwed with the Priest of Forgotten Gods. I guess we can get rid of this deputy just fine. Order the Midnight. Yep, that'll do it. Womp womp. So Order the Midnight was probably the best top deck for my opponent because now it allows the Priest of the Forgotten Gods to go online. I have to sacrifice the Deputy. So Night of Autumn just happens here. Actually, my opponent's going to give me a little bit of a... some breathing room here. Yeah, we need Leyline Sanctity out. That's pretty good, actually. Leyline was... Yeah, Leyline is boss. The problem is, though... We've got to sacrifice this one. And there's the Order of the Midnight, which I don't know if I have enough blockers here. And Gutterbones. And Cast a Gutterbones. So this is just pretty bad. And finds a Disfigure for the last one. Wow, alright. So... see if we can get there. Night of Autumn is not going to do it. We'll Leyline, because that does protect us. Night to gain 4 life. At least it gives us a little more breathing room, but we lost all those. We have to find another Rampage. And it looks pretty dire here. That Disfigure, the last card they drew off of the Priest of the Forgotten Gods, went into Order of Midnight just for that chain reaction to happen. Jeez, I have to block here. There's no way around it. Card is so good. Gutterbones. Rotting Regisar. Probably still should activate the Priest of Forgotten Gods. Yeah, I would still do that. Because it's just still card draw. So the only thing going to save me here is just a Rampage of the Clans. And if it's not a Rampage, yeah, Starfield Mystic won't do it. Alright, so again, I think I played that one pretty terribly. But we did hang up there on the lands. And at least we get the 50 points. But any suggestions for this deck, definitely in the comment section below. I'll have the whole deck up a little bit later. When I get the store, I'll go throw it up on the streamer site that allows you to put deck lists up and link it in the description. But until then, let me know if you have any suggestions for this deck. I think it's kind of fun. The little surprise factor of the Rampage of the Clans is always and just having to outplay your opponents is fun. So this is a fun deck. We'll see what this actually gets from Throne of Eldraine, if there's any artifacts or enchantments that work well with it. Again, you could go a whole treasure aspect of it, but those are all rotating out. So again, this is the best I could come up with. Rotation. Red gets a little bit interesting too, but I think that this is it. Anyway, suggestions definitely welcome in the comment section below. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.